Night on the town in Newcastle. Front of house, a surprise celebration. Backstage, a surprise visit from one of the local environmental health officers. Food Inspector Jane Tate is making her annual inspection of the restaurant's kitchens. It's her job to ensure that any morning after the night before upsets won't have been caused by the food.
Is this for drying the dishes?
That was actually, that is the water soaking, the soaking the water.
Yes, and if there's any bacteria, this will really soak the bacteria up. We'll be having a great time living in there. Can we get rid of this tonight? Even now, please, because I really don't like to see this room at all. Okay, thank you.
Newcastle is a city of 1,000 and more restaurants and takeaway joints, all expected to be safe houses, all watched over by just 7 on-the-beat environmental health officers. It's August, a wicked month for the food inspectors, and as the temperatures rise to record heights, there's a serious outbreak of salmonella. An emergency meeting is called by the team's chief, Neil Clark.
I've called you all here because we've received quite a number of notifications of salmonella. But the unusual thing is that the notifications seem to be grouping together in the northwest area of the city, west of West Denton area. To date, we don't have any indication as to where the source might be. It's hit some people quite severely. We've had one hospitalised case already, and we need to get out there and interview the people.
Tonight, Phil Hartley and Alison Hesselberth are making spot checks on inner city restaurants.
Good evening, is the owner available, please? Is the owner of the manager available?
Theirs is a serious business, not always treated with the respect it deserves.
Well, environmental health. Is the manager available? Is the owner of the business?
Billy!
What is?
Not one of them. Not one of them. No, honest, I swear. It's his 40th birthday, he thinks it's a strippogram.
Chinatown is getting the once-over from Jane Tate and trainee Tim Ditchburn.
Is the owner in, please? Are you the owner? From the Environmental Health Department?
Yes.
And it comes to routine food hygiene inspection. Will you just come through, please?
Sure, why not?
Thank you very much. Mr. Chen, when are chickens going to be cooked?
Yes.
The chicken, it's too warm. It should be in the fridge now. In the fridge, please. Yeah, thank you.
The soap, obviously, needs replacing. Right, and these areas around the splashback where the grease builds up, you need to scrape that up and clean that.
I don't like to see cloths on food at all, okay? No cloth, please, no cloth. Right, can I squeeze past you?
Sure.
Thank you very much. No cloths.
What's happened to you all?
What's appetite for food?
You'll see. It's a bit of repair, don't it?
Mr. Stewart, can I give you?
We knew the temperature was high for the fridge, and we've got people to come out and sort it out.
I mean, this is the sort of thing that causes a food poisoning outbreak, a defective fridge.
Every day brings more cases of salmonella, serious food poisoning. Phil Hartley is charged with trying to track down the source.
What would you have had for breakfast on Saturday?
No, he just keeps to his toast.
Right.
Well, I like me porridge or a Weetabix because I variate in the morning, you know.
And what would you have had for lunch then?
On the lunchtime we had Weight Watchers lasagna.
Right, and you both had that.
Mhm.
And in the evening?
In the evening we had, on the Saturday we had
Turkey
the
sandwiches.
turkey.
Yeah.
Turkey sandwich.
And you bought that from the supermarket, from the cooked meat counter?
From the cooked meat counter.
And
It was a thin sliced turkey.
right. Could you explain to me what symptoms you've experienced?
I was just sitting there and all of a sudden I was just shaking.
Right.
Really shaking, literally freezing cold.
Right.
And the stomach pains are serious. They're terrible. And when they come on, I was doubled over with them.
I couldn't get any sleep.
She'll not bite. Yeah.
Is Mrs. Stewart your...
Grandmother.
You and Mrs. Stewart started with symptoms about the same time, is that right? About the 26th?
I was bad on the Sunday. I was at work and they wouldn't send me home.
Right.
And then I found her collapsed on the Monday morning on the floor.
Right.
Never had known anything like this before. Never.
The case causing most concern involves a 6-month-old baby boy admitted to hospital with pneumonia and then discovered to be another salmonella victim.
How long was he in the hospital for?
6 days.
What food he had prior to the 8th?
I used to make spaghetti and just baby foods.
Do you cook any chicken or anything like that in the house?
No.
You don't cook it anyway, right? Doesn't look like it's going to be possible to tell where he got it from, really. Have you any idea yourself where he had it?
I haven't got I really don't have a clue.
Right.
Obviously with this food poisoning outbreak, which is a little bit unusual, we don't fortunately have them every day. But we do get notified from time to time of people who've had food poisoning or what appears to be food poisoning. One of the only ways you can identify whether somebody's sort of carrying one of the food poison organisms is to obtain a sample of their feces.
Hello? Phil Hartley from the Environmental Health Department.
It doesn't get called feces here, of course. SH1T or shit to you. So very often we say, well, it may be shit to you, but it's our bread and butter.
When I visited her, she was actually being taken to hospital. Would you mind?
And have I got salmonella?
Yeah. As I say, it was notified by the public health lab to us just today.
But if it's just a case of popping out and picking up a sample from someone or dropping off a box for the sample to be left in, one of the technicians tends to do it, John Cobb. So he's now become known as the fecal coordinator. It's not a term he likes.
Obviously you and your son haven't been very well. You ate a meal on Sunday night.
Well, it was more so my son
Right.
and my other son that was staying.
Right.
He was from
Yeah.
Manchester, but he wasn't as bad as what Michael was.
Right. But he ate the more or less the full meal, and you just ate some of the stuff that was left.
No, I just had a taste of the juice.
Right.
I came down after they went to bed, well, for a glass of water, really. And I saw it on the bench. I thought,
Right.
Lovely smell, So I just had a couple of spoonfuls of the juice, off the chicken. But I suffered it on the Monday. And that's when I was...
And your son was bad as well.
And he's been bad for... Well, he said his stomach's still a bit sore, Oh, on his face, and he says, I feel ill, Mama says, you're looking.
Well, I've got a couple of containers here which want samples from you. Okay.
Yeah, you explained that, Mr.
Right,
Hartley.
right. I mean, there's a leaflet there which gives you brief outlines of how to take a sample. And I'll call back and get these from you sometime tomorrow. There you go then. And as I say, if you put a name on each one, obviously, so we know who's is who.
Will do.
And I'll call back tomorrow and pick them up. And if you go out, just leave them on the step and I'll get them there.
Emma Hindmarch and her boyfriend have learnt something which they think might help solve the mystery of baby Stephen's illness. And it isn't something he ate.
It's easy, you can catch it off iguanas and turtles and things like that.
Can do, yeah. There's specific types of bacteria which are associated with those. So, is that the iguana over there?
Yeah.
Do you have? So is it just an iguana, or are there any other?
It's just an iguana.
Right.
Common green iguana.
So does it run round the room at all?
I don't let it.
Right.
Because I can never catch it again.
Right. There are types of salmonella that are linked with reptiles, but I don't think we've ever had one before. But then we've never had someone who's He's had an iguana before. How do you pronounce it? Iguana.
Harry Gilbert has been a food inspector on Tyneside for 30 years, but he's never been in at the arrest of anybody charged with a food safety offence. Today, all that could change.
I don't particularly enjoy the sort of hard enforcement part of it. That's something very often that I have to push myself to do.
The wanted man was charged after refusing Harry's offer of a formal caution. 4 court dates were fixed each time he failed to turn up.
If he says no to the formal caution, we can either go ahead with legal proceedings or we can drop the whole thing, having got to that stage to sort of say, oh, you don't want the formal caution, oh well, that's all right, we'll just forget about it. Just isn't really on, so, as I say, we're sort of back into a corner where we haven't got much choice, really.
Another delicate situation is unfolding at headquarters.
Hello? It's Phil Hartley from Newcastle Environmental Health here. Is that David Hill?
Yeah, speaking.
We've had a case of salmonella notified to us in a 6-month-old baby, and the family has an iguana. I wanted some advice on how we could take a specimen, but I'll not actually be taking it myself, so if I could pass you over to my colleague John Cobb.
Hello?
Good morning, John.
Yeah, morning. Mr. Hartley obviously explained what the problem is. It was just some advice as to how best to get a sample from the animal, actually.
Right, I think probably the best thing to do is to get a rectal swab done.
Right. Right.
I'm quite happy to come over and do that if you want me to.
Oh, well, that would be great. I mean, obviously I've never dealt with this sort of animal before, and
right.
I wouldn't really look forward to taking a swab from it, to say the least.
Harry's posse arrives with a warrant at the home of the wanted man. The alleged offence is the sale of food not of the quality demanded, and the food, 1 pack of stale sandwiches.
We got a warrant for his arrest with bail previously, and he was duly arrested, bailed, and summoned to appear in court, and then failed to turn up again. So our solicitor then had to apply for a warrant without bail, which is what we're doing here this morning. Crazy, man.
If he's at home, Mr. Anthony Mesner is in for a rude awakening.
Hello, Mr. Mesner.
Yes,
Possible to come in?
Aye, certainly.
Crazy may be, but it's the law.
What the camera's there for?
If you run a food business, you have a considerable responsibility towards the general public. You've got a duty of care to make sure that people aren't ill after eating the food that you've produced. And I think the general public expect us to enforce the law.
More hiccups were to follow in the case of the chicken sandwiches. It took 6 months to wrap it up. Eventually, Mr. Mesner was found guilty and fined £75 with £25 costs. At work, Inspector Jane Tate has a reputation for being extremely conscientious.
Chris, can you go and get dressed, Pet, while you're on?
At home, she doesn't always practice what she preaches.
Oh dear, oh, it's just an embarrassment, my oven. I just hate cleaning it. So it just gets left. And if I keep the door shut and I can't see inside, then, if I sort of keep wiping over the front, then don't worry about it so much, but I should, yeah. It's an embarrassment. Where's your basin for me to wash my hands? Where do you wash your hands? Is this the only hand basin you've got in the kitchen?
But the light's just broken, so.
It's broken.
Aye. Sorry about it, right?
This is where they're going to wash their hands. This is where they get themselves nice and clean before they handle the food. There is soap. There is something to dry the hands. But really, this is all going to have to be cleaned up. Again, I'm looking around this area because there's a boiler for any signs of cockroach infestation. And if there is, I'm going to run a mile. There's nothing scuttling, that's a good sign.
Have you seen the paper?
No.
This morning's journal?
No.
You know this iguana you've got me going to?
Oh yes.
You know?
Yep.
That you got me going to?
Yep.
Is it anything like this one here? Or is it hopefully a little bit smaller?
Let's have a look.
Yeah? You didn't mention it was that sort of size.
Well, it is different from that one in that it's green, this one, and that one doesn't
Is
have to
it?
be green.
Is it that size?
No, it's it's smaller than that. It's
Right.
probably about that one. Probably about...
Right, but you're a fisherman,
foot
you
and a
know.
half or
huh?
something.
To a fisherman.
Yeah.
You're
No,
so...
yeah.
Is that true?
Now this is more Harry's style. A gentle call on one of his regulars who has the builders in.
Oh, what are we doing here?
The shop front looks fine, but behind the scenes,
Everything will be going to be built up with a couple of weeks. Right, it's a bit...
yes.
It's a bit worrying at the moment, Mr. Varga.
Couple of weeks, sir.
I mean, this is obviously, filthy up here. Is it possible to get something clean up here in the meantime? I mean, I appreciate you.
Yes, tonight I will do. No
trouble if we can get something clean behind here. Or, I mean, at the moment, all this stuff's actually blocking your way to the hand basin.
Everything finished. New, gold. I'm feeling shame when I'm looking there, you see. Be honest, I'm feeling shame when I'm looking there. After you come 1 week, you will be surprised. You will be said, very nice, good boy, very good. But you will definitely say to me, very good, honey.
Everything that I'm touching is just greasy. Is it worth keeping this chopping board?
Well, we don't need that one.
Throw it out,
Okay,
please.
right.
Otherwise you just have to keep them clean. It's just something else.
Stuff's stupid to do with that.
Is this the clean laundry?
Yeah, I think it's good.
You think that's the dirty one?
Wash every once a week.
Right. So it was on top of the eggs, okay? It was on top of the eggs, so I've moved it onto there. John, the cloth for wiping the bench. Do you have a cleaner to kill the germs on the bench? To kill the germs, do you have yes, but you did not understand what I meant for killing the germs. Did you learn about this when you did your hygiene training? When you did your hygiene training?
Yeah.
No, please, it's difficult for me to know what I have to explain to you.
This is what you scrub the block down with, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Every night they do clean.
It is possible to clean that up, is it?
Yeah, let me off, please.
I'm not going to let you off. No, the work has to be done.
Well,
you told me you could have it done by
Friday,
Friday, but if you're not,
I would do other thing for you, honest.
if you're not here and the owner's on holiday,
I know, but
are you here tomorrow?
I'll be here
I'll come back tomorrow.
Right, you come back
I
tomorrow.
want to see big improvement for
Okay,
tomorrow.
right. I tell them to do all the.
A big improvement?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes, yes, I will.
Because I want to see that you are making some effort to get it sorted out.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, I'm not happy, Mr. Slaughter, no.
You all right, don't worry.
He's all right, it's you that's in trouble.
the fecal coordinator is late for an important date, the swabbing of Iggy, now separated from baby Stephen in a room of his own.
Yes, he is, isn't he? Goodness gracious. I didn't expect it sort of alive and kicking. But it looks like we'll have to take a swab.
Yeah, I think the best thing would be to do a rectal swab.
Right. Now, are you gonna handle it?
I can pick up your happy again.
Right. We'll have to get the man who handles it. Owen? Good lad. Right.
I'm not sure that.
Does he not like it?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. How's he going to feel about this? Poor soul. Is this the first time you've done this as well?
No, I've done this before.
Oh, good man. Right, there you go. Hello. Goodness.
Well, I need to get down to that. Just turn around. Swab's a little bit
I know, I was just thinking that when I saw the poor soul. Are you having trouble?
Has he been eating recently?
A few prawns, I think it is. 5 prawns.
Won't be enough. Yes, it will be. Yeah, great, good. Thank you very much. You can let him go. Be very wary of men wearing ties now, I think. Huh? Poor soul.
Hello? Anybody in?
When Jane returned to the Oriental Star, the kitchen had been cleaned up and everything was pristine. Well, almost. 2 weeks into the investigation, and the food inspectors are convinced they've tracked down the cause of the major salmonella outbreak. Almost all roads lead to an independent butcher's operating from a local supermarket.
We've had quite a number of cases of salmonella from one particular source, actually in Westerhope area. From,
it wouldn't be Quicksave's Butchers, would it?
How did you guess that?
Because that's where I bought the chicken and that's where I was a bit concerned.
Did you buy cooked meat from there?
No. Well, I often buy ham from there. I could have bought ham that week.
The team think that they may have a strong enough case to prosecute the butcher. Now they need to convince their lawyer.
We had 12 notifications and we've probably had about 3 other linked cases to those, and there's 2 members of staff from the supermarket who've been affected as well.
Is that 17 altogether?
Yeah, 17 of them. And after visiting 3 or 4, it was clear what the cause was. You know, it was blatantly obvious, really. You know.
Okay.
When we visited the supermarket, there was a breakdown in hygiene, wasn't there, at the shop, in that the people who were serving on the raw meat counter were moving over to the cooked meat counter and handling the cooked meat after handling the raw meat, without sort of washing their hands or any sort of precautions in between. You know. So we think that the cooked meat's been contaminated by handling. You know.
Do we have any of the samples, any of the meat that the complainants had bought tested, or had it all been destroyed?
There was none left in any of the cases, and by this time the food tends to have been either all used up or thrown away.
So there certainly points towards that store being the likely source of the outbreak. As to whether or not we can prove it, I have some doubts.
Since all the evidence had been swallowed, they've decided not to prosecute, but the butcher's was ordered to clean up its act and an inspector called.
Today's discussion is about food hygiene and food safety. Now, food poisoning is not something which should be taken lightly. It can cause people to die, and it has caused people to die in the past. You handle food, and therefore you can cause food poisoning if you're careless.
I've just popped round to let you know that we've got the results back of the swab we took from the iguana, and it's just to let you know that he's positive for salmonella. When you're dealing with the iguana, and make sure that you wash your hands after you've handled it and kept it in the room upstairs and didn't let it run around the house down here. So there's no chance of Stephen contracting it again.
I'm worried in case Neil forgets to keep all the rules, and he does do it.
Well, you know, that's obviously the difficulty. I mean, you just have to sort of insist that he does wash his hands thoroughly, especially if he comes down and sort of starts handling Stephen and things. Okay.
A family conference was called, and Iggy's fate was sealed.
Getting some size now, wouldn't you? Feed them on veg. Dairy mice once a fortnight. Keep them warm. Start saying gone. So I'll pop up and see him all the time. Right. Enjoy him.
Cheers.
Right.
See you later, Neil.
Goodbye, goodbye. Wipe the tear, baby dear, from your eye. Though it's hard to part, I know. I'll be tickled to death to go. Don't cry, don't sigh. There's a silver lining in the sky. Bonsoir, old thing, cheerio, chin chin, na coo, toodaloo, goodbye.
It is goodbye, but the Inspector will call again with a new series here on 4 next month.
Don't cry, don't sigh, there's a silver lining in the sky. Bonsoir, old thing, cheerio, chin chin, na coo, toodaloo, goodbye.